Welcome to On the Couch, and on this episode, we'll be discussing, can you ask God for too much? But before we continue, let's open with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for listening to all our prayers when we ask you for everything and anything. Be with us as we go through the show. Open our minds and help us to learn something new. This is my prayer in your holy name. Amen. With me in the studio today is Kezia to help me tackle this topic. So Kezia, can you ask God for too much?
No. In short, no.
Really?
What is too much?
I'm asking him every day for everything. So, wake up in the morning. Oh, no, let's start in the evening. So, I go to bed. Before I go to sleep, I say a prayer. Give me a good night's rest. Wake me up again in the morning. Like, if it's your will. And, like, little things like that I almost feel like we don't realize we're asking for it because it's almost like we're on autopilot.
So a bad night's rest is
No, I'm not saying
from
that.
God.
I'm not saying that. Sometimes we ask so much more than we realize we're asking. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So, can we ask God for too much? Your answer is no. So, I know we can't, but we just use our imaginations a little bit. Put yourself in God's shoes, and you're listening to everybody's prayers, but you can just like single out one person, and this person's asking for the same thing over and 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 again.
Persistence pays off.
Is it? But
Long suffering.
But then the question is, does that persistence change God's mind?
Maybe not his mind, but the timing of you asking and being answered, I think plays a role. Like the difference between your timing and God's timing.
So it teaches you
Might
patience.
not be on like your timeline, but it's gonna be answered. You might not like the answer.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be too much or too little.
Yes.
It's just when.
Yeah. But that's the hardest part.
Waiting.
Yeah.
No patience.
No patience.
Instant
Patience
gratification.
that's in the society we live in where everything is instant. You even have instant coffee because you don't want to wait. You know what I'm saying? Powdered milk, things like that, because you don't want to warm the milk, so you put it in with the instant coffee. So everything is instant, and you're so used to getting everything so instantly that when you pray and you ask God for something, and He doesn't answer, but sometimes no answer is an answer as well.
Like the wait now, pause.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
it's those moments where you like have to take a minute,
Yes.
regroup. Maybe
Yeah.
something else comes up then.
Yeah. But that's what I think. Maybe by him not answering is his way of telling you, maybe you have to rethink what you're asking for.
Maybe you asked for the wrong thing.
Yes, maybe it's
Or
not.
you phrased it incorrectly. So your prayer wasn't phrased in the best way.
I don't know. I don't think God would be. I think He knows
Because you need
what's
to be
on your heart.
specific in your prayers as well. So a specific prayer could be like helpful.
Yeah.
Like praying for a spouse.
Yes.
Everyone says you must pray for the person. But why not pray for like specific things? So then if you're asking God for like a guy with a six-pack,
Yeah.
ripped body,
Yeah.
everything in place,
Yeah.
job, car, and
Yeah.
then some nice guy goes to church, comes along,
Yeah.
but he's not that.
Yeah, but
Then did you ask God for too much? Just think about it.
then
Standards now.
God gave you more than what you asked for.
What, because he goes to church?
Yes.
But what if the guy that works out also goes to church? And you see him at church every week. That's the one you want.
Well, if it works out, it works out. Everything will just flow. You don't have to, like, you ask God, and if it was meant to be, it will be. I believe that. Some of things just work out like they're supposed to. But the other thing in can you ask for God for too much is there's a greed aspect to it as well.
When you get greedy by asking every day for something.
Yeah, like greed, and I can even add some pride and things like that into, can you ask God for too much?
I think when you become greedy and prideful
Yes.
is when you take away from the fact that it was blessing from God,
Yeah.
that you accomplished it.
Yeah. I think that is actually the definition of pride.
Yeah.
Like you take deep pleasure and joy in something that you feel you did on your own achievement,
All about yourself.
all about yourself. And I read a quote where it says, pride is, what did it say? Pride is the reason for the greatest mistakes.
What does that mean?
So take for example the Titanic. Like that is what did they say? Even God can't sink the ship. And
Then it sunk.
boom, the Titanic sunk.
But there's a lot of cases where people have professed that they're better than God, and then
Yeah.
something tragic has happened. It's just like a little reminder, some humility.
Yeah. Pride and humility. So what should we ask God for?
Everything, our wants and our needs. But also your needs will be supplied.
Yeah. Like we were discussing, I think I was discussing with you earlier, that should we be asking God for our daily bread?
Well, in the Lord's Prayer, it even says,
Give us this day
Give
our
us this
daily
day.
bread.
so yes, but also know that it will be supplied.
Yeah, your bread and your water will be sure. I don't know what verse that is,
don't know.
but I
It's
don't.
somewhere in the Bible.
That's bad. But we don't know where that is. One of the listeners, please,
still
if you
learning.
can tell us where in the Bible do you find that verse, you can comment below this video and
The
let us
exact
know
verse.
the exact verse and where it's found. So
Or Ashwin can comment.
yeah. So with that part of pride, or pride, greed, and
But then ambition also comes in.
yes, ambition. So
Ambition can become very toxic.
you need to have a balance then.
I think when you're ambitious, greed can play a role, because as soon as you see money filtering in,
Then pride can play a role too.
yeah, but they're all like interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah, with one comes the other.
That's why you need little,
So
little bit of humility.
So when are you too ambitious?
That's a tough one to answer.
For me personally, I would think when it starts taking over your life.
Like you forgetting about your friends. You're
No.
just kicking people to the curb to get what you want. You're willing to do anything and everything just to get
Look.
to the end goal.
Look, they say that you could get whatever you want, whatever you put your mind to. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice? But what? Where
But
do
then
you
you're
draw
sacrificing friendships. Because
Yes, because
you're willing to harm anyone in your way.
you're on a journey to get to your goal.
So what if that journey could be better?
How?
By not sacrificing people. Like, you're not doing anything that's going to be harmful to anyone.
See, but when it comes to the fact you ask God for this specific thing, and you're not just sitting back, you're actually working towards it, but you're still asking God. You know, people say God helps those who help themselves.
Is that in the Bible?
So, no, I don't think it's in the Bible. But I think there's some truth towards that, because you can't just sit at home and ask God for something. Or, yes,
Actively
sit
pursuing
yes,
what you want.
Yes, you can't just sit and miraculously everything is going to fall in your lap. You actually have to do something to walk towards your goal. And that's where God opens doors for what you asked for. So you can't just sit there and do nothing. Right? Yes. So you ask God for this specific thing because you're ambitious. And now you're losing friends along the way. Right? So could this be a sign?
But why are you losing them?
Because maybe
because of your own ex.
Because maybe they
Or-
weren't good for you and they weren't going
But
to
that's
support you in this journey. So
It's
that's
okay
why
if
they
you're losing
fall
them
by the
because
wayside.
they don't understand or they can't contribute.
Yeah.
But if you, on your journey, and because of your ambition, you like doing things that are gonna be harmful to the relationship or to yourself even,
Yeah.
because you can't see in that moment that you're destroying something good,
Yeah.
then it's a problem.
So if we go to the Bible, there's a story in the Bible where they speak about pride.
Which one?
The one, the Sodom and Gomorrah story,
Yes.
and what led to the downfall. And that was
Pride.
pride was the major,
One of the major things.
contributing factor, the majority. So tell us more about that.
You can find the verse in Ezekiel 16, verse 49. Must I read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. So there even you still have to help out other people along your way.
Yeah, like, what does it say? Or much is given, much is expected from, or yeah.
You can't fill up a pot that's already filled or a cup that's already filled. You need to empty it.
So the
So you need to give to receive.
yeah, because I saw the analogy of when you're holding on to something and you're not giving anything,
There's no space to get more.
you're not. When you're holding on to something, your fist is closed, right?
Mm.
And that's why you're not as blessed as
Because you're
people,
clenching.
because you're clenching, so you can't receive anything. But once you open your hand and you share with others, your hand is open to receive more than what you're giving. So that was an interesting analogy, that holding on and not sharing with what you have or blessing others. Not that
Come
you're
with
doing
open
it to
hands.
be blessed or to receive, but the open hand you can receive.
Makes sense.
So, as we continue with this topic, what stood out for you when I told you about can you ask God for too much? What is the first thing that jumped into your mind?
I don't actually know. But I did think of when, which is the one that went up? Elijah and Elisha, the story?
Yes.
The one that stayed behind.
Hmm.
Elisha, I think. He asked for a double portion of what Elijah had of the Spirit. So that could be seen as asking God for too much. Why did he ask for extra? Why not just the same amount?
Yeah.
Could be seen as asking God for too much. But I think that's something that I thought
I
about.
don't think there's such a thing as too much when it comes to God. Would you say? I think too much is always enough. Yeah.
So more is more.
More is more. It's too much is always enough. And when we think of it, when I thought of can we ask God for too much, then I thought of all my asks. If I think in my life, everything that I asked God for, and some of it came true, some of it took longer than others, but yeah, it's interesting how I can look back and think of things that I asked for that I didn't receive, that maybe it was not the best thing for me at the time or at all. So there's that introspection I have when I heard this topic.
What about like asking for something, not receiving it, but then you see like later on it's not worth the while. Or you asked for something and you forgot about it and you didn't say thank you for it. What then?
So I've been a Christian. I've been a Christian all my life. Parents have
So you were raised Christian.
raised me as a Christian. So one of the things when you receive something, you sometimes, like, all of the time, I whisper to myself, "Yo, thank you, Lord."
Such a good boy.
It's it's just like, not that it's automatic, but it's always in my brain. Like,
It's what you've been
it's
taught.
how I've been raised, and
To have a thankful heart.
a thankful heart, yes, grateful heart, but grateful heart by experience.
And you know where your blessings come from. That's the difference.
Yeah. So sometimes I feel like I am asking for too much, but then I've seen a little clip of a celebrity, a well-known celebrity, and he says you need to up your ask, and God will up his give.
I was just gonna
So-
say that now.
So
Like, don't you think we limit what
Yes.
God can do for us
Yes,
as well?
Yes.
That's why we think
Yes. So
we're asking for too much.
in your life currently, sitting at home or on your way to work or wherever you're watching this podcast from, think of the time in your life where you asked God for things and He granted it. Those are things I think you should go back and just thank Him for it. Even if you start a little ask God journal and write down everything you ask Him for and that if it's granted to you. But I want to do something between the two of us.
Okay.
We will write something down, 3 things that we're going to ask God for.
Only 3.
Only
Isn't that
3?
too little?
No, 3 is fine. 3 is a nice number.
We're asking for too little now.
No, 3 things.
Okay.
And next year, the beginning of next year, sometime in January, we will reveal that and see if God answered those prayers. Excuse me. Or have you changed your mind on what you asked for?
Okay.
Yes. So this is a cool exercise for you, for the listeners to do as well, the viewers. Sit down in a quiet place and think of things you really want, things that will really build you up or add to your life, or things you would want to achieve. I just said 3, but you could do 4 or 5, and write them down, and you pray for them every day, and see what month we in now. We're in the 9th month, so let's say next year, in the new year, February, we go back to that list, and we'll see if what happens, if God granted you or you changed your mind. Just a faith exercise. I think that's a good idea. So think about that.
Need to think about these things now.
Yeah, think carefully because it's
Because prayer is powerful.
3 things that could change your life.
Life-changing
Yes,
things. So they need to be something
This is big
important.
things. These are like, let's not limit God when we ask for these things. The question, can you ask God for too much? I have a personal story to share with you where I think you can't ask God for too much. So as a young boy in primary school, I suffered from severe asthma. And on one incident, I ended up in the hospital in ICU because of a severe asthma attack, and I developed pneumonia in my lungs. And one of the asks that my parents asked was for me to have a full recovery, and they asked the church to pray, and family members were praying, and that is the reason why I am sitting here today, because God answered their prayers. And this shows you that, or shows us that we can't ask God for too much. And on that note, we've come to the end of this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Goodbye and God bless. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. For our next episode, we'll be doing or discussing how much of a Christian are you? Please let us know in the comments below what makes you feel like a Christian. What is Christianity to you? And how does it make you feel?